Are you dreaming about living near the mountains, walking to local cafes, and waking up to breathtaking views just like this? If so, Boulder, Colorado might already be at the top of your list. But before you go ahead and pack your things and make the move, here are 10 key things that you should be aware of to make sure that Boulder, Colorado is the right fit that you're looking for. By the way, my name is Taylor Ratliff with Keller Williams Preferred Realty, and if you're planning on making a move to Colorado and want advice on not only where to move, but also how to make it as enjoyable and stress free as possible, feel free to contact me. My phone number, email, and calendar link are all in the description below, and I would be more than happy to set up a private one on one time to meet with you. This is your complete 2025 guide to relocating to Boulder. From hidden costs to commute patterns to lifestyle shifts, I'm going to be walking you through the 10 things that every serious relocator should be aware of before making the move to Boulder, Colorado in 2025. This is the strategic foundation that you need to start planning the right way. For more relocation focused videos just like this one, give it a like, give it a share, and make sure you hit subscribe so that you can be notified every single time that we make a new video. All right, let's hop into the video and get into the 10 things that you should know before you move to Boulder. We're going to be doing a full city tour as we dive into these 10 points, and I'm going to be sharing statistics on the screen as well, so make sure you follow along for the full video. I'm going to start off with what I would say is the most important thing here, and that is to know as a relocator to Boulder that Boulder is very expensive. The cost of living here compared to the rest of the country and compared to the rest of Colorado as a whole is significantly higher. Our national average for cost of living is sitting at 100. Colorado compares to that at 105, and Boulder compares to that at 145 for the cost of living index. This is 1.4 times the cost of living as that Colorado has as a whole. So just note that you're paying a lot more for things here. The total cost of things like housing, taxes, groceries, all of those necessities is also about 41.3% higher than the national average. On top of that, your median home price is just shy of $1 million at 998,000. Another thing to note for my renters is that in Boulder, you're paying about $2,800 on average for a 2 bedroom, 1 bath apartment. And in Denver, you're paying around $2,100 for a 2 bedroom, 1 bath apartment. So even when we're comparing city to city and high cost of living city to city, Boulder still is a very, very expensive place to live. So while there is good reason, and a lot of those reasons we're going to get into, just be aware that Boulder is going to cost you to live here. Number two is that you are paying for access, not size. A lot of the homes in Boulder are older, they're smaller, and they're built closer together, and you're still paying that premium price. But you do have access to trails and open spaces and better schools and a safer community. There's actually a statistic that 70% of homes in Boulder are within a 10-minute walk from a trailhead or open space. The Boulder crime rate is actually 38% lower than the national average. So you're paying for access to a tight knit community that is safe and where you're able to do so many outdoor activities and you're constantly taken back by the views. Boulder, Colorado also has a very, very specific culture and community. And people in Boulder are very health conscious, they're eco driven, progressive, and incredibly outdoorsy. So it's okay to not click with that local vibe. But if you don't click with it, you will probably get left behind. So it's good to know what you're getting yourself into before you dive in. A few things about the culture in Boulder is that it ranks number one in the United States for percentage of residents who eat organic. And you are not going to run out of a juice bar or sourdough bread place or gluten free restaurant for you to eat at in Boulder. And people are very, very health conscious and are constantly aware of what they're eating. And there's so many good health conscious options, and it's almost overwhelming because there's always something new to try to better yourself. So if you love to eat healthy and take care of your body, Boulder's going to be perfect for you. There's also over 70% of Boulderites who commute by bike, bus, or foot at least part of the time. So very health conscious. And then Boulder was also the first city to tax carbon emissions in 2006. So ever since then and continues, they maintain very strong sustainability initiatives and are very conscious about the environment and nature and our part in taking care of it. If you're planning on moving to Boulder, you should definitely note that the commuting options are very limited. There is no light rail in Boulder, and most of the residents use Highway 36 in order to get to and from Denver. So sometimes on average, actually the average commute time is 26.3 minutes, but when you are in rush hour, that can very easily get up to 45 minutes up to an hour when you're sitting in traffic. Another thing to keep in mind is that many remote workers actually choose to work in Boulder because of this, not in spite of this. And Boulder's population is actually made up of 31.3% of remote workers. Boulder is definitely not the best place for access to the airport or to Denver. So if you need to be close to that city or to travel, you might want to reconsider moving to Boulder. You should be aware that school rankings are a major draw, but that competition is very real. Boulder has highly rated public schools in both North and South Boulder. And something that you should really think about is that the neighborhoods that are closest to the schools often sell for an average of 150 to $300,000 more than the home prices in the neighborhoods that are adjacent. So even if you don't have kids, it might be a good financial option for you to invest in a property that is in a desirable school district because those home prices, they keep their value and they also appreciate at a much higher rate than the other homes. Something I think is neat too is that Fairview and Boulder High are consistently ranking in the top 10 Colorado public high schools. So super neat that one city in Colorado has two out of 10 schools that are ranking in the top 10. And North Boulder elementary schools have also gotten scores of 9 to 10 from great school scores. So the school district and the schools themselves are just doing a really great job, and people are actually moving to Boulder, Colorado because of the level of education that children are getting from attending. So definitely a great place to be for the schools. And then another thing that we have is CU Boulder. So if you are someone that is looking for a great education, or you're wanting your child to have a great education and potentially wanting to follow where they're going to college, Boulder is a great place because of CU. Make sure you know that the outdoor lifestyle is not optional, it's part of daily life. Boulder actually has over 500 different trails that you can choose from to hike, bike, or walk on all trails. And there's over 300 miles of trails. We also are 35 minutes away from Eldora, so you can go skiing very quickly in the season. And there's every opportunity to do anything outside. So if you like swimming, there's Boulder Creek. There's actually a group of people that goes and does ice baths in the winter. There's also a group that helps handicapped people go on trails in Chautauqua. There's hiking, biking, fishing, camping, anything that you can think of outdoors wise. We have it in Boulder and it's available for you. So, if you are someone that loves the outdoor lifestyle, then this is going to be a perfect place for you to call home. More than 70% of Boulder adults report engaging in outdoor recreation at a minimum of 3 times per week. So, you can't not be active here, and it's a very health conscious and active place to be. Be aware that there's a very, very strong anti sprawl mentality in Boulder. And while this is a good thing, limited space means limited inventory. And while that keeps value up, that means that it's very difficult for first time homebuyers and people that are trying to enter the market. Be aware that the residents in Boulder are very resistant to overdevelopment, which is why the housing supply and housing prices are where they're at. Know that the Boulder Valley Comprehensive Plan caps urban expansion to preserve open space. There's over 45,000 acres of open space in Boulder that is permanently protected. And while this is great, it's definitely limiting housing development in Boulder. We also had the Marshall Fire in December of 2021 that burned over 1,100 homes in Boulder and Superior area, which is further limiting housing. There's also tons of regulation when it comes to permits of new building. I had a client that was entertaining having a garage built in Boulder, and they were told that to get permitting for that, it was going to cost $250,000 for the permit alone, and so they didn't do it. So there's a ton of regulation, and you definitely pay for it. And because of that, new home construction permits are down 17% from 2024. So inventory stays tight here. It's going to stay tight here. That's on purpose. It's great for long-term value, but it's very hard again for first-time home buyers that are trying to enter the market. Be aware that the weather is wild and it's not just the snow. It's not far fetched to say that you're going to have all four seasons of weather in one single day. And we far too often have had a sunny day in the spring, and then the next day it has been a full snowstorm. So we moved here in March of 2021 and we're welcome to a snowstorm in the middle of March. And sometimes there's even snowstorms all the way into early June. So the snow gets crazy here, the hail gets crazy here. Be careful. I've even had a car that was totaled by crazy hail. We've had tornadoes here. The weather gets crazy. So just make sure that you're prepared and make sure that you're aware and make sure that you understand that Boulder is actually in the top 10% nationally for fire risk exposure. So we have all kinds of extremes of weather. And while part of what makes Boulder so enjoyable is that you do have a true winter, spring, summer, and fall, you also have very crazy weather that is accompanied. Something that might surprise you is that Boulder is not just for young tech workers. There's actually 40% of households in Boulder that have children, and that's up from 32% 10 years ago. 22% of Boulder residents are over 55, and then 15% of Boulder is foreign born, which leads to a strong global academic and entrepreneurial community. And Boulder is definitely, yes, a major tech scene. And with CU Boulder, it's definitely attractive for young professionals. But Boulder is comprised of retirees, families, creatives, and international transplants. So we're definitely a melting pot of sorts that you can say here. And you're bound to find somebody from every walk of life. You could say that Boulder is a lifestyle hub for all ages. You should also be aware that the housing market in Boulder moves a lot differently. We are seeing homes in Boulder when they're priced right fly off the market. We're still getting multiple offers and we're even getting offers on off market properties. So, unlike the rest of the country and the rest of Colorado, actually, where you're seeing homes take anywhere from 2 to 3 months to actually sell, the average day on market right now in Boulder is 6 to 11 days. So, homes are selling still very, very quickly. And that's because there's a shortage of homes. Boulder is a destination location. People want to be here for the outdoor scene, they want to be here for the community. And the supply is not keeping up with the demand to move to Boulder. Know that it is still competitive and that if you see your dream home, you're going to want to move quickly. And you also want to be working with an agent that is knowledgeable and skilled and knows the Boulder market, because the worst thing possible is when you're relocating and you're working with an agent that is uneducated and doesn't know how to get you under contract and how to get everything going so that your timeline and the contracts and the purchase all go together. Working with a local expert truly does make a huge difference. All right, that was your guide to relocating to Boulder, Colorado in 2025 of the things that you should be aware of. And I know that we kind of just touched the surface on a lot of those topics. And so we will have a video that is going into the schools in Boulder and the cost of living in Boulder and the housing market in Boulder, transportation in Boulder, all of those individual items we're going to be diving into and unpacking so that you can get a real boots on the ground in-person view of what this means for you and what it's going to look like when you're actually living here. And if you are seriously considering moving to Boulder or moving to somewhere in Colorado, I would love to help you. Please reach out. My phone number, email, and calendar link are all in the description below. And I'd love to set up a private one-on-one time to meet with you and get you moved to Colorado. See you next time.